Good evening, everybody, and welcome once again to another edition of Playing from the Tips. We are here at the spectacularly beautiful Harbor Hills Country Club, and as always, my partner in crime, my guest there is Tom Lineberger. He is the head teaching pro and PGA professional here at Harbor Hills. And there's an awful lot of exciting things going on, especially in the coming week or weeks pertaining to golf. But before we get into all that, Tom, how about a heads up on what's happening at Harbor Hills that you'd like to promote?
Well, we've got Labor Day coming up.
Sweet.
So we run an unusual event. We do a horse race. And what it is we do an A, B, C, D blind draw on Sunday night. And then once you get your teams together, you'll get a table. And if we were on the same team, we'll get a card. And then you have to name your team, like
Whatever. Yeah.
Bob's Brigade.
Bob's Brigade. I like it. All right.
So whatever the name is, and then you place your name on your team on a board, and then the teams.
You sell them?
No, we don't sell them, but you bet on your team.
Oh, okay.
You win, place, and show.
Oh, great. Well,
So it's and we get anybody from the club champion to a 9-hole ladies league to play. So we have people playing the front tees, the fun tees, to playing the back tees based on what their
handicaps
level
used?
is at.
Using the
Correct.
handicaps?
Yep.
Okay, well, that's great. How cool is that? That's equalizer. So, anybody can play with anyone and probably gets to play with a lot of people they don't usually play with, I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have a nice social party on Sunday beforehand. Everybody kind of mix and mingles, and
How great is
cocktail
that?
hour, and they'll have some fun with that. And then if it's a tie, a lot of times they'll do a sudden death playoff. And in the past, they'll go out and everybody will go out on their golf carts and root for.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
If I got a $2 bet on you to win, I'm going to go, come on, Bob, you got to make this putt. It's serious money here.
So you're not going to just give it to me?
Yeah.
Oh,
And so we
okay.
pay it all back in pro shop sweeps, too.
Oh,
So
I
it's
love
not-
it. That's
it's
great.
Not we don't official. It's not a gambling event.
No,
It goes
of
back
course
and gift
not.
certificates. So they keep their amateur status. So.
Absolutely. You got to do that and do it right. Well, tell me, okay, with that coming up, course looking pretty good? Happy with the way the course
It is. I got to give kudos to our superintendent and his
Fantastic.
committee. We did aerify our greens, but we did a really small aerification holes. The greens are healthy and the fairways are healthy. So, I mean, that's the key to anything is you want a healthy turf. So right now our golf course is in really good shape. It's healthy. We're trying to do the little stuff now.
Great.
Put the cosmetics on it and almost, looking for pretty now.
Well, fill me in, because as you know, I'd say the forecast in the next couple of days, anyhow, is for a little rain.
A lot of rain.
Yeah, a lot of rain. I was trying to
I
be.
hope we get some rain, though. We
well,
do.
if the course needs it, that's
do,
fantastic.
well.
That's great.
With the aerifying, all the holes, that'll fill the sand in a little bit, and the fairways, they aerified those. So everything's kind of opened up. So if we get some water, it's going to help it grow quick. And it's
And-
all fertilized, too. So
And that's perfect now. So you're looking at maybe 2 or 3 days of some significant rain, but then if it backs off, you got the Labor Day weekend, and
Ready to
hopefully
go.
things will clear up for you. Well, that's fantastic.
yeah, we had the other thing we've got coming up is the start of high school season. So we First Academy, we're their home club for part of their matches. So they're practicing out here, and they've got their team. So the young kids are out here practicing, and then we hold the Lake County Cup, which is a 18-hole event coming up in September. And then it's all the schools play, and they take their 4 best schools out of 5, and they've been playing this cup. I actually started it with a guy named Dave Reed 20 years ago. I think the first event was here, and then we've gone to other courses, but it's basically stayed at Harbor Hills, the Lake County Cup. And if you win the cup, then your school takes it back, gets their name engraved on it, and you get bragging rights.
I love it. I love it. And I have to admit, I'm so jealous. When I played, and I played in high school, but to have a course like this available to you from being a high school player, I mean, this is just fantastic. When I used to play up north, I mean, they put you out on dirt paths, and there's weeds growing, and bouncing balls off rocks. I mean, they were all like public courses that nobody wanted to play on that. Put the high school kids on that, but now they're playing, top-notch country clubs. That's, like I said, I couldn't be more jealous. That's amazing.
They do. The local pros and the local clubs, most of them are I got to give them credit. They're really receptive for the kids, and part of the PGA is to grow the game.
It is.
And
I
I
agree. I think that's should be, I think, the number one
goal.
priority of it.
Yeah.
And I sometimes I fear it doesn't seem like it goes that way, but through the efforts of people like you, and I mean, the country clubs, the nice courses have to be willing to participate and open their doors and let the kids play on these, because I mean, but once I can see now what the public courses, once they get on a course like this, they don't ever want to go back and play the public courses. But that wait till when they have to pay for it, then they'll have to make a decision.
Well, I know that they have the regionals. We're going to host the districts for the villages.
Wow.
It's going to be at our course.
Wow.
And then if based on who wins out of that region, then they go to the regionals. And then the regionals, we applied to host the regionals here. We'll see how that goes with First Academy and the villages, golf coaches would be like a joint effort, and we would host it here, and that would be in October. So that could be fun. We'll see.
Oh,
how
I
that
hope
goes
you
out.
get it. I'll tell you what, I want to see the place that's better looking than this, and a greater layout for the kids to come play than here. This is, I mean, kids that feel like
It's
they
tricky, but
died and
it's
went to
fair.
heaven. This is spectacular. I'm looking out the window at the view now, and the course looks great. I'm just, well, like I said, we'll see if cooler heads prevail, but I'm glad to hear that you're looking forward to getting consideration for those regionals, and let's see how it works out. Fantastic.
The other thing I think was kind of interesting is we applied for the National Junior Collegiate Athletic Championship for Division III.
Okay,
And
I played Division III golf, so I have a soft spot in my heart for Division III players.
But it's there's no other way to say it, but it's a political, slightly political game you have to play, and we applied.
Hey, we're honest. You can't say Tom's not honest, right?
But I talked to the gentleman in charge nationally, and they're going to keep it up north in the Northeast. In a nutshell, it's been in New York for the last 6 years, and a lot of the schools, he said, are from the Northeast, so they're going to stay in the Northeast. However, he told me that Division I and Division II have a tendency to go south, so we can bid on those teams to have the national championship out at Harbor Hills next year for Division I and Division II. It's a different package of information. And we have to go through the Department of Tourism and Sports with a guy named Adam Ashton and his committee that help us fund it through the state. They help fund part of the project to get people in here for site visits and see what the course looks like, and housing. I talked to the local hotels. So people think we were talking about, you're going to have a golf tournament. It just happens.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Obviously, people that never ran one.
Yeah,
they just happen. Yeah, everybody gets their starting time, and they all go out and play. And how tough can that
Can
be?
it be roll the ball out like basketball? Roll it out 5-on-5. Let's go.
Okay, let's see what happens now. But like I said, and we're just teasing about, anything that's that big an undertaking where there's that many schools involved. There's always going to be a little political element to it, I'm afraid.
Yeah,
So
I got to give the guy's name is Mark Krug, I think I'm saying it, Krug, that is the national director. I talked to him yesterday, and but I got to give him credit for he's very upfront about it. He didn't say, turn it in, you got a good chance, we'll root for you.
Yeah,
he was like, you have no chance.
you want to, but you're not going to get it.
But also he said, in his defense, he says Division I and Division II, you have a better chance of getting than
Sure.
the next level up. He said, because there's more schools in the South that are Division I, Division II. And he says in the East, the Northeast, he says most of them are that qualify are from the Northeast. And he said that's why they have a tendency to have it there. Less people, less travel.
I would think that's probably the big thing in Division III up north. I mean, those schools don't have the budget probably to send their teams
To Florida.
down to Florida, and so they can stay up. And I know you've got Rochester roots, like at Pittsburgh.
yeah.
You can stay up there and play in 35 degrees, or you can pony up a couple grand a player, and let's all go to Florida. I think they right now that they all opt to stay close to home so they can drive a bus or drive something to the golf tournament and take it from there. But yeah, I'm sure that the costs have a lot to do with it.
And
That's-
it's interesting when you start to get behind the scenes that when they talk about the host club will take care of the site visit, take care of this and that and this and that, and you go, well, let's see, how are we going to fund this?
The
And that's
host
where-
club is going to take care of it. Okay, I guess bring me the magic wand.
Yeah, exactly.
Bing. Okay, who's providing the golf balls? I just want to see what's happening there. Isn't that amazing?
But the Department of Tourism, they helped with a swing thought tour,
okay.
getting it here. So the state,
Wow. That's great.
they did help with that. It comes out of part of their hotel housing budget that everyone pays their taxes. They help fund part of that project to get it at Harbor Hills, and that was here the last 3 years, and we're looking at having it here in the future still. Now, some of their regulations have changed, so we have to go through different channels to see how it goes.
Oh yeah.
But it's they did a great job. I'll give Adam Ashton and his committee. They did a great job helping out getting that event here. Local hotels, they benefit. The restaurants benefit. And you forget about families that come in and watch them. Our members had a chance to house the tour players that were here.
How great is that?
Yeah, so they got a chance. We had long drive contests close to the pins. We had free clinics for that week that the tour players put on. And if you look at Adam Swenson, he was in the top on the web.com. He won here. And then Dominic Bozzelli won here 2 years ago. He won. So two of the guys that are on the web.com both won at called the Lake County Classic at Harbor Hills. Both of them have won here, and now they've gone on and won on the web.com. So it's kind of neat that it was a stepping stone for us and for them. We had Adam Schreiber was here this winter, and we had a mini tour membership we had 5 mini tour players here in the winter that played the Florida circuit for the winter, and one of them, and you might have looked at this, was Ryan Brem.
Mm-hmm.
Breim,
Yeah.
out of Michigan State. He was here working out and out in the gym downstairs hitting balls, and was part of the one of the 5 that came in that Adam Schreiber was working with. I worked with him some, but Adam was the lead dog on that. And he's one of the top 100 teachers in America by Golf Digest. He won the last web.com
Web.com. Yep.
tournament this week, and
Fantastic.
he is qualified in the top
I was
25.
going to say he's going to be on the tour.
And he got his tour card.
How fantastic. I'll tell you what, well, that's a great story to end on. We are done with the first round here of Playing from the Tips, but Tom Lineberg and I will be back with the second round right after this. We are back with the second round of Playing from the Tips here at beautiful Harbor Hills Country Club. And, of course, talking with Tom Lineberger, the PGA teaching pro here at Harbor Hills. And you had just made an interesting point about Ryan Bream, winning on the web.com tour, which is going to get him a spot on the regular tour. And I want to get into that. I'm going to get into talking about the web.com tour a little bit. But first, I want to just short circuit and get to the FedEx Cup, which is what they're playing for now. And also they've got the Ryder Cup coming up. And so guys are trying not only to win the FedEx Cup, but they're trying to qualify for the Ryder Cup. And it can be a little confusing to the even to the avid pro golf fan who wants to watch the tour. He's trying to figure out what are they playing for now. But let's talk with the FedEx Cup first. Now they had the initial tournament this past weekend, and they have the Deutsche Bank coming up. They cut. There's I think 120 players in this last one, and now they've cut to 100.
100.
Okay, right. So that's how it progresses, and now they'll play in this, and I think they cut to what? 70 and then 30, or is it 50 and 30? I'm not even sure.
I think it's 70 and 30.
But that's what's interesting about this is guys are amassing points as they play, and then when all the smoke clears, you got the FedEx Cup champ who's going to get an ungodly amount of money, and the 1 year it turned out that the guy won. I think Billy Horschel won, but he didn't make the
make
the
the
Ryder
finals.
Cup team. So that can happen. But I just think it's interesting that it makes for great golf. You got people that are really playing, and now then it matters to them. So even if your favorite golfer isn't in the top 10, if he's slugging it out, huh?
Patrick Reed's a perfect example.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
He wins, he's in.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, Ricky Fowler. I mean, Patrick Reed made the Ryder Cup team. Ricky
He's now on.
Fowler
That's right.
didn't win. He didn't make the Ryder Cup team so far.
He did make it. Now,
Not
I'll
yet.
tell you what, I know you've, in fact, I'll tell you what, well, we can talk a little bit about both things at once, but let's talk about the Ryder Cup. How many guys have solidified spots now?
So far, you've got Dustin Johnson, Jordan Spieth, Phil Mickelson, Patrick Reed, Jimmy Walker, Brooks Koepka, Zach Johnson, and Brad Snedeker on the team. And it's interesting, when Fowler didn't win, I read an article today that Davis Love called Fowler after the round and said, hey, you know, you're playing better. Hang in there. Keep swinging.
Good.
And so that was like a pat on the back to Ricky. He said, you know, just hang in there.
Just
And
letting
is
them know
playing
he's
better.
still
Exactly.
under major consideration. Yeah.
I thought that was a class move.
Oh, I think
for
it's a
sure,
class
by
move.
Davis Love.
Like I said, hopefully Ricky can keep slugging away. Like I said, he's still in. He's still in the.
Well, he's definitely in the hunt.
He's still in the Fed. I mean, he's still playing in the FedEx, right?
He's still
he
playing.
qualified.
He
So
qualified.
yeah, he can win or pull a couple top fives in the next FedExes, and next thing you know, you're on the Ryder Cup team. And it sounds like they got their eye on him. And there's so many good golfers that I was listening to your list, and I think of the guys that.
Look at Bubba Watson. He's not on
Watson,
it yet.
Furyk. You know, Bill Haas, I think, has made like the last 3 or 4 teams. And I don't know. He had a string of like 5 or 6 years where he won a tournament every year. I don't know if he's won one this year, but he's as solid as a rock, and I know he's going to be under. You know, he's going to be on somebody's.
He hit the ball
radar.
out of that lake around. Remember that a few years back?
You remember that?
Yeah, and that was in the FedEx. I think.
That's exactly right. He
Got it up and down out of the
he's-
bank.
He was amazing. He played in the competitions we had, and he always seems to be in the hunt and playing great in the tournaments. So it'll be between him and Furyk, and I guess Furyk you got to give some consideration.
What about Kuchar? He won the Olympics.
I forgot about Kuchar.
He
and
finished. He shoots 64 in the Olympics.
bronze medal in the Olympics. So
With a heat on. I mean, for the whole United States rooting for
Heck
him.
yeah,
I would
I mean,
think you
he-
got to put Kuchar on the team.
he was just for being an Olympic medal, getting a medal. You got to give it to him. But he's what's really good about this sport. He's fun to watch. He's nice with the fans. The fans really
He-
enjoy watching him play.
He played. I mentioned this before. When he was at Georgia Tech, he played in the club I was at. We did an invitational. He played in it for 3 or 4 years. Him and his dad.
Okay.
And he never made it to the final foursome at the tournament. But he is the nicest guy.
I believe it. He just
You know, some people they go, "Oh, he's really nice," but off the camera, he's not as nice. Kuchar is sincerely a nice guy all the time.
well, that's
Class act.
So I'm rooting for him. Like I said, Bubba Watson's got to be somebody you consider. I haven't been paying attention, but it seems to me that he's had more than a few top
He's
tens.
a wild card. JB Holmes.
Oh,
JB.
no, see, there's another
JB's
guy.
a cheerleader.
JB Holmes he's got to be on the radar. He's had a decent year.
When the U.S. won the Ryder Cup, he was the cheerleader.
Yeah, I
he
remember
was
that.
the ML car, like the Celtics. Here we go.
Yeah.
He was the one that he said, "I'm just going to drive it to the front of the green, and you guys just follow me." You know, he was just grip it and rip it. Here we go, boys. But
Plus-
he was. It'd be interesting to pick how they do it, because Holmes, to me, is Mr. Emotional, going to lead him. Fowler, another Mr. Emotional, hot and
Yeah.
cold. Then you turn around, you go, how do you leave Furyk 58 off the team, and how do you leave Kuchar off the team?
Well, somebody's got to get left. But the point, I guess, what the next point I'm getting to is that's a phenomenal team. Now, who in the heck are they playing against? You got some of the
In fact, I starred the 3 guys I think that are the big horses. You've got McIlroy,
who hasn't exactly been
No.
impressing the world the last month or so.
So you got McIlroy, and his record was 6-4-4 in the Ryder Cups. Justin Rose,
Who won? Gold medalist? Yeah.
But if you look at Justin, if you watch some of it, I watched some of it too. He was very lucky to win at times. He hit some big hooks that stayed.
He wasn't on the course too often.
No.
Yeah, that's right. You're right
But
about that.
he got it done.
Obviously, he knows how to win.
But he was 9-3-2 in the Ryder Cups. He's a winner.
That's pretty good stuff there.
Henrik Stenson,
Who looks to me like
stud.
yeah, he's your horse.
He's like Nolan Ryan going to the mound. I
he's-
could toss
he's
him
your-
the ball.
He's your quarterback. Yeah. I mean,
But
that's
his Ryder Cup record's not that good though. 5-4-2.
really.
Yeah,
That's
I would have thought. I looked at that today, and I would have thought it would have been he would have had a better record than that.
Yeah, and we were talking off camera. I was mentioning some of the guys that I just assumed had made the team, and you said no, they hadn't. I said, well, that
Yeah.
Brendan Grace has had a great year. You said, no, au contraire, he's not on the squad. How do you like the way I did that, a little French in there to give you a little Ryder Cup flavor, actually? But the fact of the matter is, I thought that he would be in. I thought Shane Lowry, with some of his performance in the majors, would be considered. But Danny Willett, I think, is on, right?
Danny Willett's on it. Yep,
All right.
He's on it. Chris Wood is on it.
See, I've watched Chris Wood, but I didn't know that he had been that accomplished obviously in the European Tour. He has been. So give him.
Sergio Garcia. Sergio's 18-9-5. Another USA killer. Sergio just plays with so much emotion.
And you know what? And I think we don't consider him to be one only because he hasn't won any big majors. So we always figure
He
out.
wins at the Ryder Cup though.
He's unbelievable at the Ryder Cup. That's what I mean. He's playing the top players in the world, and he's winning. 18-9. I'd say he's doing pretty well.
Pretty good.
But but we've kind of labeled him as the best golfer to never win a major, so he can't get it done. Well, obviously, he gets it done.
Well, the picks were interesting too because you were talking about some of the guys that you liked.
Yeah, that I thought were going to be automatically in there almost.
And they took Mr. Europe. I would kind of Lee Westwood.
Okay.
Which
All right.
is kind of interesting because
Sentimental pick, I guess. He's got to be close to 45, but still strikes the ball.
20-15-6 in the Ryder Cup. So he's got a winning record in the Ryder Cup.
No, that's fantastic.
Thomas Peters and Martin Kamer. Martin Kamer's not. He's 4-3-3.
I was going to say, and he hasn't been having a spectacular year by any stretch.
He hasn't dominated in the Ryder Cup either.
But ever since he made that putt to secure that was the Ryder Cup, 2 years ago or 4 years ago, the one he.
So that got him on team for this year.
Yeah, that's
4 years ago.
That locked him in. He's a wild card pick, but that's pretty good. But I'll tell you what. Now, do they take the same number as we do? They take 12, right?
Take 12. They got Matthew Fitzpatrick, Andy Sullivan,
Okay.
Rafa Cabrera Bello.
Oh yeah, well he's had a pretty good season. Cabrera Bello. He's very good, yeah. And but all the names from the past Ryder Cups that used to be for Europe, you don't hear their names. The Molinaris and Cole Sertz and guys that were hot. And how about the I just want to say it because I can say it. Victor Dubuisson from France, who made the last Ryder Cup and had a pretty good record in it. He didn't even qualify this time. How about that?
No, they definitely got a lot of rookies. Europe definitely has a bunch of rookies on there.
And who's captain in that squad? Who's there? Is that? I'm trying to think who that would be. Not Faldo. They're not doing Faldo. Oh, you know what it is? It's I think Darren Clark.
Darren Clark.
Yeah,
you're right.
That's right. So I'll tell you what.
Darren Clark and Westwood are best friends, I think.
Well, that doesn't hurt. And and Clark actually, if he was still playing well, would be eligible because I don't think he's more than 45. But he's a sentimental choice to lead the team. And outside of that rabbit out of the hat British Open he pulled off about 4 years ago, his career hasn't been going great guns. He better get behind the mic. If you get what I'm saying. But the truth of the matter is, I can't get any more excited about watching golf than watching those 12 names play the 12 names from the United States, because that's going to be, and it's match play for crying out loud. How great is that? And it's alternate shot. They play all the different formats. It is just to me the most
and we
intriguing.
don't play well in the beginning normally. I mean, the best ball and the alternate shot, that's where the U.S. seems to struggle.
They do struggle there. And, I was wondering, like I said, we're running out of time, but I did want to get to this point, too, about how do you think when you match them up, picking the partners from, what criteria do you think is used? So, say somebody like Tiger Woods, we used to play occasionally with. I'm trying to remember who we. Did he play with Mickelson? I can't remember, but
I think Davis Love always played with couples, if I remember those two.
yeah.
were a tag
But
team.
is it because they're friends? Because one's a big hitter. I mean, one's a scrambler. I always try to get my feel for why that is, and I can't really put my finger on it.
I know Azinger tried to pair people up by if they both were like went to Michigan State
No.
or they went to Texas together.
That's as good a reason as any, I
you
guess.
know, or personalities that they were really good friends and hit it off. So
Well,
you know,
I'll tell you what, we've effectively closed the second 9, and I think we've made the cut. So you're going to see us for the third round. But right now, Tom Lineberger and I will be back right after this. We are back with the third round of Playing from the Tips here at beautiful Harbor Hills Country Club. Again, I'm with head teaching pro Tom Lineberger. And we were just giving a little bit of a rundown, not only in the FedEx Cup and what that's going to be standing for in the next couple of weeks, but also the Ryder Cup teams are not entirely in place, but it looks like the European team is, and U.S. Still has a couple spots to go. But you had something else you wanted to
they
share
have,
with us, Tom.
I think it's interesting. Davis Love has got like co-captains. Tom Lehman and Tiger are going to be co-captains.
How did Tiger get in there? He's 41. What's he doing on there? No, I'm teasing. I think that's great that somebody's trying to get him back into the not the spotlight, but just get him back into the aura of playing top flight competitive golf and see if you get the juices flowing again. Hopefully he's healthy.
I think he's gonna be the cheerleader.
Well,
Tiger has that fire in
Well,
him.
he does. He's definitely a fired up guy, but it's like I said. But bottom line is maybe that'll get him to settle down a little bit and work on his game, and hopefully he gets his health back and he can return to some level of prominence. Maybe not what he used to have, but I mean, just being a top 10 golfer, I think he would be thrilled with that right now. So we'll see where it gets him. But that's really great. I think he would be motivational and very inspirational. And a cheerleader, absolutely. Would you ever see anybody win so much and get fired up when he kept winning?
He gets a fist pump going, you know you're in trouble.
Yeah, he would be screaming and yelling after he'd won 28 out of 35 tournaments. So, I mean, nobody loved to compete and win more than Tiger Woods. So I think it's a great choice. And
I remember Jeff Sluman. He made a great line about Tiger when he was out of a tournament or behind. They asked Sluman like after the round he was leading the tournament, and they said, "Well, what about Tiger?" And he said, "Oh," he goes, "Never ever count the striped one out." Never. He said, as soon as you count him out, he'll shoot the course record. So I thought that was a good description. He goes, no, never count him out. So.
Well, I remember he used to play, and he'd be like 9 strokes back after 2, and everybody'd say, well, he's kind of out of it. And then he'd shoot a 63, and he'd be, next thing you know, he's 1 stroke off the lead and on the 9th hole in the 4th round, and you think, he's never out of it, because when he was playing well, he just isn't out of it. I mean, his game can go a little south like everyone else, but I don't know if you agree with me, but nobody, I thought, had a short game. I mean, not only hit the ball great, but his short game was so ridiculously good.
Johnny Miller was like that at times.
Yeah, you told me that. Yeah, but I just saw Tiger 10-foot putt that mattered. He never, ever missed it.
I think the one story I think that reminds me of a little bit of Tiger. I had a chance to teach with Bert Yancey. When Bert Yancey played.
I remember Bert Yancey, great golfer.
Classical school. Bert has a true story that he told me that when he had himself and Palmer and Nicholas and I don't know if Player was there, but they were after the 3rd round at Cherry Hills. They're having a drink. They're sitting in the back by the clubhouse, and they're talking about who's leading the golf tournament, and this is going on, just like regular guys would do. Mm-hmm. I'm playing this week. This guy's 1 shot back, 2 shot back, and they said, well, this guy's got a good chance of winning. You know, he's got a better chance of winning, and you know, the course is playing this way. And he said that Bert said he still remembers. He goes, because nobody said anything about Palmer. Then he said, Arnie got up. He said he slammed his glass down, and he said, I'm going to win this blankety blank tournament. Turned around and walked out, and they looked at him like, he's 7 shots back. What is he talking about, win the golf tournament? And he said, Bert goes, yeah, look what he did. Got up on the first tee, I think it was Cherry Hills, hooked it around the corner, drove on the first green, went on, won the golf tournament. But it was interesting what motivates people.
Yeah.
You talk about, you know, what motivated Emby, you know.
Yeah.
She wanted to beat Michelle Wie. That was one of the things that motivated her. Now, Palmer, from what I can gather, what Bert was telling me, what motivated him, I mean, he wanted to win, but he was insulted that his peers didn't feel like he was 7 shots back, had a chance to win.
Yeah, well, but yeah, that's just like Tiger. I think if you talk to Tiger after the 3rd round of a tournament, he was 7 strokes back, and you implied or didn't even mention the fact that he has a chance to win, I think he'd be especially motivated. So that's amazing, and you know, it's amazing. You talked about Inbee Park. She is so unemotional on the outside. It looks like she's not motivated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm sure, but she
Very
is.
Look at her. She walks at the same pace, swings at the same pace. Her demeanor is the same. If she's putting for the club, the U.S. Open or for a bogey, it's the same pace. And she's, you know, the great players, and Jordan Spieth will tell you all the time when you stay with the process. I tell them with the juniors that I'm working with, and the good players, don't get ahead of yourself. Stay with the process. You look at the good players are gonna, and they have. I was working with one of our juniors, and I said, you know, he's playing in a high school tournament, and I said, you got to have a game plan on how you want to play the golf course. You're gonna hit 3-wood. You're going to hit driver. If you hit driver, you're going to have this club. You hit 3-wood, you're going to hit this club. Do you need to hit driver or not? And Nicholas always had a plan. If I hit driver, I got 130 left, or if I got 140, if I had 3-wood, I got 150. But I'm going to be in the fairway. Know how you want to play the course, and he mapped it out ahead of time and tried to stay with it.
Well, that's great. That's what you have to do. I think that's fantastic. And a lot of guys figure they're playing the guy rather than the golf course. You got to play the course.
You got to play the course.
You got to play the course.
If you beat the course, you're going to beat the rest of the guys.
You can't do anything about what the guy's doing. If he's going to shoot 65, like I said, ask was it Mickelson after his, you know, he beat everybody by 11 strokes in one tournament. He still didn't win the tournament.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how much better you can do, but you have no control over what's going on. So, you know, I wanted to just get sidetracked and going back to, we talked about this briefly before, but the web.com tour and what it's become now. You had, I'm not sure I understand, how does somebody qualify to get onto the web.com tour?
They have the regular PGA Tour qualifying, and then if you, I'm not 100%.
No, I didn't mean to throw that at you.
But I know that if you the top 125 qualify, and then if you're might be the next 50, automatically get on the web.com tour.
Automatically.
Right. So if you don't finish in the top 125, there's a percentage of them above the 125 that automatically get an exempt, and they're on the web.com. And then they have a qualifier too to get on the web.com. That's where Adam Swinson won the qualifier to get on the web.com. So that's and you know, when Ryan Brem was here, and I got a chance to be around him for a few days when he was here practicing and playing and working out, it was interesting. I asked him. I said, you know, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? He goes, well, I drive the ball great. He said, and I'm a great putter. And he said the only thing that he says, he hits it as far as Dustin Johnson or farther.
Wow.
He just bombs it. And his comment was, on a lot of holes, he's not sure if he wants to drive it to the front, you know, hit it 350, or does he want to lay back? So how do I attack the hole? Do I want to be real aggressive? Do I want to be laid back? So just because you hit it a long way doesn't always fit. Maybe
if you hit it far and that's the one spot in the fairway where you don't want to be, or the one part, you can't hit it there. If there's a big sharp decline and you don't like downhill lies, don't hit it over the hill because you're going to have a downhill lie.
It's kind of exciting he made it because he's a nice guy. He's going to be good for the tour.
Well, that's fantastic.
The other thing about the going back to the Cider Cup, Davis Love made the comment that they're 12 strong. That's their motto. 12 strong. I thought that was kind of neat too.
Yeah, that's great.
So I
Yeah.
guess they got shirts and hats and stuff made up that are going to be, hey, we're 12 strong, which he's trying to get the team concept. We're all. There's not an individual on the team. We have 12 of us. 12 is one.
Well, I like it. And I know they're playing an excellent track. They're playing Hazeltine, which I
Right.
think is in Minnesota. And I think, and I might be wrong, correct me, but it seems it used to be, before all these different ways of qualifying, a lot of guys would be picked based on how their game matched up with the golf course that it was being played on.
This is kind of, you talk about when Watson did it, it's no secret that Mickelson didn't like the way Watson ran the show. So there was some headbutting there. September 12th, the captain's picks are going to come out for the U.S. September 12th.
Okay.
And September the 25th, he's going to pick the last player.
Okay.
So he's not picking them all at the same time. But also Davis Love said that he's not picking them by himself. He's taking the 8 guys plus the captains and the 11 guys that he have are going to pick the 3 picks, which I thought was kind of
Wow,
interesting.
okay.
He says, we're a team, and he said, we're going to pick the other 3 players as a team. He says, so he's getting feedback from Johnson and Spieth and Mickelson and Reed and Walker and Koepka and Johnson and Snedeker.
I'm just smiling because I think it's very noble when he did it. If I did something like that, it would be strictly to blame somebody else in case things didn't go as well as they like. I said, hey, don't look at me. I didn't pick the last 3 guys.
Yeah.
No,
So I
but
think
that, no, and all kidding aside, that's pretty cool. I really like that. I like that a lot.
it could be, one player could be the difference between us winning and not winning. One
no, there's
guy
no question.
having the right
No
guy
question
on your
that's
team.
right. No question that's right. So
And personalities, you could be like, let's say that we were partners in the Ryder Cup, but our personalities didn't get along.
yeah.
And then if Davis picked somebody and they ended up pairing him with another guy on the tour and they didn't get along, now you got 2 guys that are playing for the United States, but they don't get along. And I think Davis wants to make sure, one of the things, make sure that, hey, who out of these 4 guys that we're going to add to your team, is there certain guys that are out of these 6 or 8 that
you
that
like.
you really like and like
Yeah,
to play with?
because
and they're fun
because
and
if
gotta
you
play
have
with
one,
that.
if you have one on that team that nobody wants to play with, then maybe you do, because that might be the situation with one of the guaranteed guys. But there's nothing you can do about that. But I'm just saying, you want to have as many. That's why you said Kuchar. Kuchar would, I think, just be that to me would be
Super nice guy.
easy pickings, because he plays so well, and I think everybody would get along with him just super. So I
I don't know if he's gonna. If you took a guy like Bubba Watson and put him with Kuchar, you've got Mr. Gambler against. I would put Matt Kuchar as more of the conservative player.
sure.
And then you got, same thing. You got Mickelson's kind of a gambler, and then you've got like Snedeker that connect the dots a little bit more.
I like it. I'll tell you what.
So-
Well, I'll tell you what. We are already done with the 3rd round here, but we've got a lot more to talk about. And stay with us. Tom and I will be back with the 4th round of Playing from the Tips right after this.
I think that's interesting. The 3-wheeler, huh?
That's right. We're back with the 4th and final round of Playing from the Tips here at beautiful Harbor Hills Country Club. And again, I'm with teaching head pro here at Harbor Hills, Tom Lineberger. And one of the things we were talking about off camera, we were talking about these tournaments in general. And there's an awful lot of preparation that goes into it. And I think especially from the a tournament pro, I don't mean a tournament teaching pro perspective, if you're running tournaments, just give us thoughts, because everybody thinks this stuff, you just wave your hand and it just magically happens. Give us a little rundown of what it takes.
It's interesting when you like our superintendent. If he set up one of the opens a few years back in Minnesota. It's and we've run the Swing Thought Tour and some of the mini tour events at our place, and then we ran the high school championship, the state high school championship here. So you've got to get to get the golf course in shape, pin locations. Like if you've got a 4-day tournament, usually they'll try to rotate the pins. That'll be front, back, middle, middle, and get 6, 6, and 6. That's kind of a guideline. not an absolute, but they try to get a balance. And also they're going to look at, they wouldn't put all the pins on the left side of the green. So if you've got a guy that hooks the ball, brings it in right to left, we don't want to favor a guy that.
Yeah, I was going to say that's an advantage.
Right.
Big advantage to him, yeah.
And then also, you're talking about greens, the speed of the greens. Are they roll into a 10? Are they roll into a 12? Are they roll into an 8? So the pin locations, to a certain degree, are going to be dictated for sure, by the speed of the greens. If they're really fast, and you've got a downslope or a front of the green that runs away, you've got. If they're too fast, you may not be able to put a pin over there. You can't keep it on the green; it'll roll off. If the greens are a little slower, you could put a pin in that location.
Well, educate maybe you being the head pro. Are there in fact 7, 8 pin positions that you know for each hole? Or I mean, is there a or can
It just depends on the size of the green and then the undulation on the green.
So it's not random.
No,
Okay.
with most courses will do either like if you go to a golf course, they'll go pin locations today is 1
or 2, yeah.
2 or
and
3.
usually say, okay, it's always back,
Right.
or it's always left,
or
yeah.
it's like it's red, white, blue, red in the front, white
right.
in the
Yeah, that's right.
blue in
yeah,
the back.
the flag colors indicate where the pin is. Yeah.
So if you came and they were going to set up the Swing Thought Tour, when they come and look at it, they'll come out and say, all right, we're gonna go set the pins. But the other thing they do is they're gonna check the weather forecast and go, all right, wait a minute, we're supposed to get 80% chance of rain on Friday. The course is gonna play long. That'll dictate a little bit. The greens are gonna be not as fast. It'll dictate pin locations that way. Or if they feel like, hey, we might get a lot of rain, let's make sure we don't get any of the pins in a low area where we can keep play moving.
Yeah.
Get the pins on a high, dry land, keep it out of any low areas on the green. And the other thing that kind of tee markers, if you got the pin back, do we want the tee back, or do we want to move the tee forward and the pin back?
Yeah.
So front, back. To a certain degree, if the tee's forward, the pin might be back, but that's not an absolute either.
Well, are you looking for, in some cases, to make the whole 30 to 40 yards difference in terms of how it played from the previous day, or I mean?
You look at the tour; they'll put, which I think is great. They've done it more, I think, on the PGA Tour the last 3 to 5 years than they've ever done it in the past. They make drivable par fours now.
Yeah.
And it's fun for the fans.
Risk
and
reward.
Risk
It really
reward.
is. It's cool. It's cool to watch.
Yeah,
That's
it is
right.
cool to watch. Where you go back 10 years ago, there wasn't any of those. I don't remember hardly any.
Well, Oakmont, we're speaking of, they had number 17 there, and I played it a few times, and they always kind of dangled it out there as there's a drivable par 4, but if you didn't hit it perfect, you're going to be in such ridiculous rough, you weren't going to get your par.
Right.
So, I mean, but it's interesting to see, because these gunslingers these days, their short games are so good. They give it a ride, and if they don't care if they're buried, they'll find a way to open the club and get it up there. I hope that's Jack Nicklaus.
Yeah, well, hang on, Jack. I'll be with you in a minute. It's the president. All right, hang on.
Oh, that happens. But
So,
but no, I'm always amazed when you're putting the tournament together, and you have to take in all these things into consideration. And
well, they like for one of the things that's fairly new. It's been out for a while. Is we had it. Our superintendents, they call it circle cut. Is the grain is going in this direction. So if you mow in this direction, it's laying down. Then you mow into the grain.
wow.
But on the curves of the grain, then you really never quite get it. But if you circle cut, then you're going back into the grain.
All right.
And so you take all the grain out. So a lot of times when you circle cut, Bermuda grass especially, it's a strange grass. The more you rough it up, the more it likes it. It recovers quick.
Wow.
So if you've never cut into the grain, then you play a golf course, and for the viewers on TV, if you play, especially later in the day, if you play a golf course and you see a brown edge on the cup, and you look and there's a brown edge and then there's a green edge, that brown edge is where the grain's going. So when the ball slows down, If it's a straight putt, it's always going to go to the brown edge. Even if you think, oh, it's straight, it's not straight. It's going to go left
I
if
didn't
the
know
brown
that.
edge is
I
left.
didn't know that.
So-
That's why I can't score on those Bermuda.
So you got to
greens.
pay attention to where the brown edge is at. That's where the grain's going. Now, when you circle cut the greens, you try to take that grain out and get the ball to stay out on top and just take the slope. The other thing that they do on green speed is they have to lap the machines. And what it is they use a compound and they put it on and then they sharpen the blades to go backwards.
Okay.
And when you top dress screens, you put sand on them, then you mow them, then you dull the blades. But part of the maintenance practice is you've got to verticut the grain. When you verticut, it's like little kind of like little blades, and basically that's to take the grain out. When you circle cut, taking the grain out. So a lot of the things that are take the grain. When you aerify, you're releasing the gases out of the grain and let nutrients get into the ground and making the roots go down deeper and to get basically a healthier soil.
Makes plenty of sense. And not to get sidetracked, but this is something I think everybody wants to hear a pro talk about, and that's now Poana.
Yeah, some people think it's a weed.
That's what I mean.
Right.
People.
You go to California and in Pebble Beach is Poana greens, and they putt pretty good. The Poana, it looks ugly. It has a tendency to look bad.
Right. Yeah.
But it putts pretty good.
Well, it's interesting you say putts pretty good because I always hear more people complain about the Poana when they miss putts, and I think, I just figure it's poorly struck.
I grew up in New York State, so
Yeah.
I grew up on Oak Hill when I played as a kid. Is all bent grass greens.
Yeah.
And bent grass greens is generally are faster than Bermuda greens. They have less grain. The grass itself isn't
Good
grain.
golfers, I think, or the good putters really like the bent grass
They like
greens.
bent grass.
Yeah,
They're faster. You don't have to stroke
I
it.
hate bent grass greens,
Yeah.
but the good golfers really love it. 'Cause
You don't need
you have a
much
good
stroke.
stroke, you just get it started, and the bent grass greens will take care
It'll
of it.
take it and feed
That's
it to
right.
the hole.
Yeah, can't beat it.
Yeah, where Bermuda grass, you've got to go. You've got to really look at it and say, what color is it? Is it shiny or is it light? You can walk on a green and look at it from one direction and it'll look green, and then if you look at it the other direction, it'll look dark green. So if it's looking one color one way and one color the next, the darker green, it means the grain is into you. Whenever you look at a green and it looks real shiny, you're down grain. So if it looks like it's got like a wax on it, sometimes you get on a lot of golf courses and I've heard really grainy. And then you look at a putt and it'll be shiny, then it'll be dark green, and it'll be shiny. So that means you're going down grain, then you go into the grain, then you go back down. So you got to judge that
But
speed.
the good caddies and good golfers can pick up on
You
that.
got to see it. You got
Yeah.
to pay attention to it. And then if you've got you've got a downhill putt and it's shiny, you're going downhill's fast, down grain's fast. So it's fast. Now if you got an uphill putt and it's dark green uphill, you got slow. But it goes the other way too. So if you got a putt that's downhill but dark green, it's not gonna. You got to hit it a little bit because it's into the grain. It's gonna hold it up.
And while we're learning, and this is something I think I know, but I'm going to have Tom verify it. We were talking just briefly a couple minutes ago about Stimpmeters.
Yep.
And what if greens are a 12 versus a 9, what does that mean? Explain what
it's
that
kind
is.
of it's an interesting deal. You got to make sure you're basically on a flat surface.
Right.
Because if you're not, and it's a tool that looks like a ruler, and then they'll lift it up. They'll go this way, and then they'll lift it up. Start flat, lift up. The ball will be here, and the ball will roll.
Just roll
off
it down there,
yep,
and once it
then
gets to the
takes
flat,
off,
you can tell.
you can tell how many feet it's going to roll out.
And that's so obviously the higher the number, the faster.
Faster
it is.
the greens.
The faster it is. But I think a lot of people hear Stimpmeters and they're not really sure. Well, this is a 9
But
versus a 10.
if you're going to roll this way, then you got to turn and roll this way because you might be down grain this way
Right.
and into the grain this way. So you
There
have
you
to
go.
roll in both directions, and then you're going to take basically the average of the two in a nutshell in it.
I love it. Like I said, and these are, you hear people talking on the television. I always think the people, luckily I'm lucky enough to know because I've spoken to professionals and people that know, but a lot of people hear the stuff that's being discussed. Another thing, while I'm on a roll here, is kikuyu grass. Now, explain what is kikuyu grass and who will see kikuyu grass and who won't, depending on where you are in the country.
I don't know. I know that we have the zoysia grass,
Okay.
which is maybe a little bit like the kikuyu. Zoysia grass.
And that's a matty? It's like a mattier grass.
We
You get
actually have. We
tough to
ordered,
chip out of.
Yeah, we ordered it. We're getting some in for one of our tees out here. And basically, the zoysia grass is shade tolerant. That if you've got an area, a tee box, you can use it on tees. Some courses have used it around greens too, but it'll grow in the shade. Where Bermuda grass wants sunlight. So if you've got a tee box or an area that you want to keep green, if you do the zoysia grass, you have a lot of better chance of keeping it alive to start with. If you don't have sunlight, Bermuda grass is not happy. It likes sun.
There you go. And spell or pronounce that? What kind of?
Zoysia.
Zoysia. Take a crack at that one because
Yeah.
I'm not going to.
Well, the other one I think is kind of interesting is, getting ready for getting the greens ready. They have a tool now that our superintendent has that he'll go around, and it looks like it's like a tunnel, and he'll stick it in the ground, and it'll tell you the moisture.
Oh, well.
Yeah, it'll tell you the moisture in the ground. He can put it on and tells you if you need more water, less water, the moisture content in the ground. It'll tell you, how the soil is doing, and based on that, the greens. People think, well, you got 18 greens and they're all the same. No, if you've got 18 greens, you've got 18 different kids, and they're different based on how much shade is around the green. Is it a flat green, or does it have a lot of undulation? Some
Sure.
greens might need more water or less water. So the tools that they have now, it'll tell you basically the tool will tell you, hey, I need to fertilize this green now. It needs nutrients or it needs more water. So the technology side is pretty neat. And everything, if you were the superintendent, everything that he does now is recorded on a database and goes to his computer, and he can look at it on number one green and say, all right, the chemical makeup of that green is
Want
this.
to be a greenskeeper?
And how many? It's
I'll tell
it
you what.
is, you just don't turn it on, turn it
But
off.
that's really fascinating stuff. In fact, I'll bet we can get in one of our upcoming show. I would love to get somebody talking about the agronomy of golf, and I'll bet we've got
we've got a
some
few guys we're
we got
working
some
on,
candidates we can talk about. But I'll tell you what, time sure flies. So that's the end of the fourth round, and faster than you can say Araya Jatunagarn. We are done with our fourth round here. So for Tom Lineberger, the head pro here at Harbor Hills, I'm Bob Wiltman. Thanks so much. And you can catch us next Wednesday from 6 to 7 right here, or catch us on www.playingfromthetips.com. So we'll see you then. Thanks so much, folks. Faster than you can say it, and I couldn't say it.